Have you ever done cold email before and got no results and thought, this doesn't work, then this video is for you? Most beginners end up landing in spam and they don't get results thinking cold email is dead. And I'm here to tell you, cold email is not dead. It's really because your setup wasn't set up properly. And that's not your fault. There's a lot of false information out there. But today, I want to show you exactly how you can set up your cold email system to start getting results and bring pipeline in consistently. And once you see how to properly set up your cold email system, everything is going to click. And the one thing that most people get wrong is this. Cold email isn't just about sending a bunch of volume and hitting people as much as possible. Although you do send a lot of volume when you're cold emailing, it's not really about the volume that you're sending. It's about intentionality. Intentionality when building your list, intentionality when writing your copy, and intentionality when you're setting up your cold email system. So before we get into any of the other stuff like copywriting and list building and anything like that, let's start with your setup. To set up your cold email infrastructure, there's three main parts that we have to look at. Let's head over to the drawing board so I can show you exactly what these are. The first one is going to be your sending tool. Your sending tool is what's going to host all your accounts. It's where you're going to write your copy, and you're going to set everything up so that way you can reach the inbox of the people that you're trying to reach. The second thing is going to be your domains. These are the www.companyname.com, where we're going to be having our mailboxes hosted under. And then, of course, number three is your mailboxes. But we're going to go through each one of these, starting with domains. This is going to be your www.companyname.com. And so a lot of people, when they get started with cold email, is they buy a domain, and this could be the same domain that they use for their website. So you go to www.dcdigital.com, and this is where my main website is. And so I don't want to use that domain when I'm doing cold email, because if I send an email to someone, let's say I send it to the wrong person, which you probably will when you're getting started, they're going to mark me as spam. That domain's going to get burned, and then I can't send emails to clients. I can't send invoices. I can't send anything from that domain because it becomes burned. So we don't want to use our main company domain when starting off with cold email. And this is definitely a mistake that a lot of us make when we first get started. And so instead of using that, we're going to use different variations of that domain. This could be something like www.trycompanyname.com. This could be getcompanyname.com. You could do a whole bunch of different variations here. Just kind of mess around with this, have it seem a little bit not spammy. You can definitely look at different variations, have ChatGPT help you with this. A great place to go is Spaceship. Spaceship is one of the best places to go and get domains from. I used to get domains from GoDaddy, and I still have my domains on GoDaddy, unfortunately, but they charge you so much money for your domains compared to other platforms where you can get a few more domains for the cost that you would have had on GoDaddy. Definitely go check out Spaceship. We're going to be going over that a little bit later, probably not in this video, but if you want to see a video on that specifically, definitely go check that out. This is what is going to host all of our mailboxes. The second is going to be mailboxes. So this is going to be your name, and this is going to be at companyname.com. And this in here, we're going to put that get, we're going to put the try. These are going to be our subdomains that we're going to use specifically for cold emailing. And you can have 3 mailboxes under one domain. This is just the best practice so that way you don't burn the domains out by sending too many emails from that one specific domain. And then you can do variations of this. So A Coleman at getcompanyname.com, Andrew C at trycompanyname.com. And these are just different variations of the person who you're going to be sending from. If you're just starting out with your business, you're probably going to be using your own name, unless it's kind of hard to pronounce your name or your name just is a little bit weird and people mispronounce it. Then go with a typical white girl name like Rachel or Brittany or Leah or something along the lines of that, just so that way people aren't getting caught up on your name and they're focusing on your emails. So now we've gone over domains, we've gone over mailboxes, and this is how we can kind of look at this. So if we look at domain, now we have mailbox 1, now we have mailbox 2, now we have mailbox 3, all underneath that domain. So that way we can send emails from here. And this is a good starting infrastructure setup. And now we can move on to your sending tool, so that way we can actually send these emails out to your lead lists. And there's a couple different sending tools that you can use, but today I'm going to be going over Reach Inbox. I use Reach Inbox for my own cold email campaigns. Their sending volumes are actually double most of the other platforms, so you can send out more volume, especially if you have an offer that you're working on. You can iterate on that a lot faster get a good campaign so that way you can start scaling up your mailboxes and sending a lot more emails to your leads. We're going to be starting off with Reach Inbox, and now we're going to hop over into that platform so I can show you exactly what this looks like, and then we can go through a couple of things that we need to set up so that way you can have successful campaigns. So this is Reach Inbox, where we can start sending out those emails to all of your leads. But before we get into any settings or anything like that, we need to first get the email accounts and then get them into your sending tool, such as Reach Inbox. And so I would recommend Zapmail, if I can spell. Zapmail is going to be one of the best mailbox providers that you can go ahead and check out, get your mailboxes all set up, put into your account, and warmed up properly. If you're first getting started, definitely go with Google Mailboxes as far as right now, just because it's the easiest to work with. You can get 10 mailboxes for $40 a month, which is pretty good. And then you can also send 30 emails from each account, which is going to allow you to get the most volume out as possible. Now, you can also do Microsoft 365 if you wanted to. There's not a big difference between them. Just right now, Google is delivering better to most mailboxes than Microsoft is. But of course, depending on what time you watch this video, sometimes Microsoft's going to be better. Sometimes Google's going to be better. So don't worry about it. Once you get to a certain point, you can start to diversify. But just getting started, go with Google Mailboxes. There's going to be a warming up period where you have to let your email accounts send emails to other email accounts, which are really just kind of like fake accounts. And it's just sending messages back and forth so that way Google sees, hey, this mailbox, it's been created, it's been sending emails consistently. It's most likely a good mailbox to allow emails to go in and out of the inbox. If you don't warm up your mailboxes properly, then you're going to run into a lot of different issues when you start to go send your email campaigns. So let's go over warming real quick. So once you get your mailboxes from here, you can go ahead and have Zapmail set it up within Reach Inbox. You can also have whoever's doing your cold email for you set up these mailboxes for you, and they'll handle all of that. So the one nice thing about Zapmail is they will set up all of your records. So that way, all your emails are going to be landing in the inbox or have the highest chance of landing in the inbox. So heading back over to our board right here, what do I mean by records? When I talk about records, we're going to be looking at SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. If you looked into cold email before, you most likely have heard of these records before. If you want to learn a little bit more about those records, go ChatGPT it. But basically, these three records are the ones that are going to dictate the validity of your mailboxes and if they're going to get into the primary inbox of your leads. We want to make sure all these are set up properly. If you need help looking at if they are set up properly, you can use a tool called MX Toolbox. This is going to allow you to put in the domain that we just did, and then you can go ahead and look up your SPF, your DKIM, and your DMARC records here. Just go ahead and search up MX Toolbox, DMARC, MX Toolbox SPF, MX Toolbox DKIM. It's going to show you exactly if those records are set up properly. Once you have all these set up, you can go back into your sending tool and you can do a health check right here. This health check is going to go and check those records. If anything is bad on those records, your SPF, your DKIM, or your DMARC records, it will tell you in here so that way you can go and fix it before you start sending out emails. And trust me, if something's wrong, you want to go fix that as soon as possible before you send out a single email. Now we have our mailboxes set up within Reach Inbox. We have our Google mailboxes in here. Our SPF, our DKIM, and our DMARC records are all set and ready to go. Now, we need to start setting up our sending tool so that way we can start sending emails to other people's inboxes. And to start this process, you're going to start warming up emails. And so what is warm up? Warming up is, like I said, sending emails basically to another mailbox so that way Google says, hey, this person is sending legit emails. They look good. In Reach Inbox, you just go ahead and press this button right here, and it's going to start warming up your mailbox account. And so what we can see here is if we go over to warm up settings, you can do warm up tag filters so that way you can go ahead and make sure that you can filter them out of your mailbox. So that way it's not all cluttered. Typically, you won't be logging into these mailboxes anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. For increase per day, they suggest 2, so do 2 per day. So it's going to go from 0 emails that we send today to tomorrow, we're going to send 2. The day after that, we're going to send 4, and so on and so forth. And then the daily warming limit. So this is the minimum warm-up limit. You can kind of read through these settings. Typically, if they recommend a setting, you should just go with that specifically. The only thing that I do a little bit differently, and a lot of other people do for cold email, is the reply rate. So they suggest 35% for a reply rate. And I was just thinking about why they might do this. And it's probably because when you send cold emails out, not everybody's going to reply to you. So they want to show like, hey, it's normal for us to get a 35% reply rate. Typically for cold email, you're only getting 2% anyway, so that definitely makes sense. But the way that we look at it is if you're getting a higher reply rate at first, then it's going to show that your mailbox is a little bit more of an authority and that you're having conversations with people regularly. So to expect that. There's controversy with this, but either way, I typically make it higher. I wouldn't go above 90%. Some people do 70%, 80%, 90%. Some people follow the suggested of 35%. You can definitely go over to their school community and ask a little bit of questions, or they have great support down here where you can go ahead and ask those questions. Awesome. So then you can go into your advanced options, and let's go ahead and set up the rest of this. So for weekdays only, we only send through the weekdays. With cold email, I do send on Saturdays as well, but sending on Saturdays and Sundays typically isn't normal for cold email just because people are taking off for the weekend. They don't really care about their inbox over the weekend, so you're just going to get buried anyways. So keep weekdays only enabled. For max thread count, you can choose whatever number here. I just left this the same. Open rate, I put it to 100%. I want every single warm-up email to be opened. Spam protection, I don't want any of my warm-up emails ever going to spam, so I put that to 100%. And then mark important, I do 70%, so that way people see, hey, most of his emails are important, so we should make sure that we're letting them through. And then for delays, you can leave it however much they set here. For right now, I think it is between 7 and 9 is probably going to be the best way to go ahead and do that. That's how you set up your warm-up. And then once you go ahead and make this go live, this is where your email accounts will start sending out those emails. And then typically I wait 3 weeks before I will start sending a single cold email. This just lets us build up over time and allows us to send enough warm-up emails. So when we start sending cold emails, they're not just going to start going to spam. They're not going to go to the promotions tab or updates tab or anything like that. We're going to start landing in that primary inbox so that way people can actually see our messages and we can get some calls booked. So that's warming up email inboxes. Now we can go into the other settings of these mailboxes. So we go into mailbox settings. This is where you can set your first name and your last name. So like I said, if you're the founder, go ahead and set up your name right here. If you don't want to use your name because it's hard to say or anything like that, go ahead and add the mailbox person's name right here. For your signature, you can go ahead and add whatever you want right here and you're good to go. Now, if we come down, tags is something they just implemented pretty recently, but tags are pretty easy to do, and they actually help you out a lot. And so if you create a new tag, you can enter in whatever name you want to. For this one, I did cold-DC. So that way in the future, if I ever get more mailboxes, I can filter out specific mailboxes I want to use for campaigns. So for example, if I get pre-warmed inboxes that I can use on other people's campaigns and everything, I'm not mixing those with my DC mailboxes. So that way everything stays a little bit more consistent. When we go and set up those campaigns, we can use those tags to just add in all 15 mailboxes instead of individually selecting each one. So it's definitely going to save you some time. So set up those tags. Moving down here, daily sending limit. I have this set to 30. In the past, people have had this at 40, 50, sometimes even up to 100. And I know it's very tempting to do this, but don't go past 30. I would actually suggest starting with 20 and ramping up to 30. So that way your mailbox is sending a lower volume. It's not getting hit as spam, and it's less of a chance that you burn that domain or burn that mailbox. And so what we can do is with 30 emails, times 15 accounts, that's going to be sending about 450 emails per day with all those 15 mailboxes. And so we send 26 days out of the month because we don't send on Sundays. We send Monday through Saturday. So we have 450, multiply that by 26. That's going to be 11,700 emails that we can send per month. Now we're about to go into the setting up the sequences and the campaigns and everything. So this 11,000 number, 700 is really going to be divided by 2 because we're sending one email and then we wait 2 days and we have a follow-up email right after that. So that way we're reaching about 5,800 unique leads per month. And so if you had 5,800 leads that got in contact with your business, do you think that you would have some more business coming through? Most likely. And so if you set all this up properly, then you will be good to go. Campaign slow ramp should be on. I think the reason why this isn't showing that it's on is because I'm selecting one mailbox instead of all of them. But campaign slow ramp should definitely be on, so that way each day it incrementally increases the amount of leads that it's sending to. It doesn't just start sending 30 from day one. It'll send maybe 2, then it'll send 4, then it'll send 6, so on and so forth. Delay between campaign emails, 5 to 9 I think is the default here. So just go ahead and keep that how it is and you should be good. Custom tracking domains, these used to be like the best practice to put them in there. So that way you could check your open rates, your click rates, and everything like that. But now I would suggest not putting custom domain tracking links in here because we don't want any links in our email at all. We don't care about the open rate. We don't care about the click rate. All we really care about is the reply rate. And so we're going to get into that here in just a second. But these are all your mailbox settings, and you should be good to go from here. And from here, you can just kind of see the performance of this. You can see how many emails are landing in spam or how many they saved from landing in spam. And you can just kind of get an idea of your records right here, SPF, DMARC, DKIM, and your MX records. And of course, if you just press this button, you can refresh those records and make sure that they're all good. So that way you are good to send. And you can also see the performance of how many emails that this mailbox specifically is sending out as well. All right, so now we have our mailboxes set up. They're warming up and we're almost ready to start your cold email system. Next, we're gonna go into the campaign and how to set up your campaigns. And so this is my kind of setup right here. This is my mailbox. If I go over to my analytics, I can show you the different performance from some campaigns that I have running. Once we open up this window, it's going to lump all of your campaigns together unless you individually select a specific campaign. So for example, if we go to the executive coach and leadership coach campaign that I'm running right now, we're going to be able to see the analytics just for this campaign specifically. And analytics is going to be something that allows you to scale your cold email over time. Not going to go too deep into this right now because we're just trying to get this set up and we're not worrying about scaling. But you can just get a high level overview of how many emails you've sent, how many replies that you're getting on each day and everything, just so that way you can track this and improve it over time. Then if we scroll down, it's going to show us the campaign and what exactly is going on there. To get a little bit granular analytics, you're going to want to go over to your campaign section. And in this campaign section, this is where it's going to show us the different variants that are winning and everything like that. So to understand that, let's hop into a campaign and I will walk you through exactly what we're doing for setting up different campaigns. So in this first tab here, it's just going to show you, like I said, a high level overview of these campaigns, how many leads that we've sent, so total amount of emails that we've sent, the reply rate that we're getting, how many people are actually replying back to us. Then it's going to show us a bounce rate. If you don't clean your list, which typically when you're getting started, you can just kind of raw dog it and just throw it in there and kind of see what happens. Over time, you should definitely be considerate of your bounce rate so that way you don't burn your domains or anything like that. And then how many opportunities ended up actually getting through from that. And if we come down here, this is where you're really going to be looking when you want to start scaling your campaigns and getting better results. And this is something I'm actively doing right now. And so what we can see here is we have variant 1, 2, and 3. This is showing us the different types of, wow, that was a really bad one. We're showing the different types of copy that we're running right here. And then we can see the replies because we don't track opens, so we don't really care about that. All we really care about is the replied section right here. So that way we can go ahead and iterate on these campaigns and make them better. And so what we can see here is variant 2 and 3 have 9 and 8 responses. So pretty similar. And then we can also see step 2 that variant 2 is doing a lot better than variant 1. So this tells us a lot of information that we can go ahead and use to iterate our campaigns later. So now we can go ahead into sequences. This is where you're going to build out your cold email campaign. So first, we're starting off with the subject line. If you use this little lightning bolt right here, this allows you to use dynamic variables. And so for example, if first name is right here, this is going to put in Bob, or this is going to put in Mary, or this is going to put in Peter. Whoever your lead's first name is, it's going to dynamically insert that in there. You can go ahead and do a bunch of different stuff in here. So you can do company name, you can do title, you can do personalization. You can do really anything you want inside of here. This button right here is going to be your email templates, where you can just load up a template and then it's going to be good to go. We're mainly going to be using templates for responses. So hold on one second and I'm going to show you that. Coming into this campaign here, we're using this dynamic variable called personalization. This is just where we use AI to personalize every outreach that we're doing to every single lead. When you're first getting started, don't really worry about personalization. I just want you to hop into a campaign and do something like this. Hey, first name. And then write your copy like this. Exactly when you write your copy like this, you can do your first name down here, especially if you just made all your accounts. For example, Andrew, I can just hard code this in here, hard write it in here, and we'll be good to go. If you have multiple accounts like Susan, Alice, whatever these names are, then you might want to use the dynamic variable called sending account first name. And to insert variables into the body text right here that we're actually sending in an email, just click this variables down here. And now we can add your account signatures. We can add your account first name, last name, the full name. And we can add all these dynamic variables in here so that way it personalizes this email for every lead that we're reaching out to. And so if we want to see what this looks like, we can go ahead and click preview email. And now this is the lead right here. We can see this is the lead. This is their company name. And it goes ahead and it's going to fill all this information in and it's going to dynamically insert that person's name there. So then if we preview this again, now this is for this lead and it's going to dynamically insert that as well. So this is one of the best practices that you can do by having the first name to personalize each email that you're sending out to each lead. So that way they feel like it's actually made for them and you're not just blasting them from a list. So this is the first step. We're just testing different subject lines. And if you remember from the analytics tab, we saw that variant 2 and variant 3 did a lot better than variant 1. So what does this mean? This means that this subject line, do you have any coaching slots open and interested in your coaching, did a lot better than, hey, Denise, or Denise, thoughts on this. And so what we can do is now iterate on this for our next campaigns and continue to iterate on that and get better results. So now we send this first email. Once we send this first email to the lead, we're going to wait for a day. This should have been 2 days. And then go ahead and do step 2. Now this is our follow-up email so that way we can get back in touch with them. Not everybody's going to respond to your first email, so you're most likely going to have to follow up with them. And a lot of people say follow-ups are where the money are. So you want to follow up as much as possible until they tell you no. And typically with sales, this is true. In cold email, this is not true. And you should not follow up a ridiculous amount of times. I'm going to tell you why right now. The last thing you want to do when you're running cold email is get reported as spam. When you go ahead and you do steps 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, which I first did when I did my campaigns, you're going to burn your domains. And the reason why is because after follow-up 3 or 4, I believe, and there's studies done on this, after follow-up 3 or 4, people get annoyed and they start marking you as spam. And when they start marking your emails as spam, it hurts your deliverability, so you won't be able to reach the inbox of all your other leads. This is a big no-no, and this is the last thing we want to happen with your cold email setup. And so, although with sales, that is true, follow-up is king, you don't want to do that for cold email. You want to wait until they show interest and then you start hammering them with follow-ups. So when we're first sending this out, this is why we only do 2 steps. We send the first email, and we go ahead and we start sending this next email. And so you can kind of mess around with this, see what gets their attention, and see if you can get them to respond. And then if someone doesn't respond, what we can do is we can recycle those leads later. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. And to know how many emails you can send for your account, you can go down here into your account, go into settings, and then we can go ahead and see your lead credits. These are how many active leads you can have within your tool. And then we see email credits, and this is how many emails you can send per month. And if you want to see what the different options are for that, you can go over to Reach Inbox, go over to their pricing section, and then we can see, make sure you're on monthly instead of yearly. And then we can go ahead and see the starter plan, the growth plan, and the pro plan. So that way we can understand which one exactly we're going to need. You can always start with their free plan, which is pretty cool. You can have 3 email accounts. You can warm up for 14 days. You can have 50 leads in here, 250 emails a month. So this is just kind of like getting your feet wet, getting used to the platform, which I highly suggest everyone gets the free plan. And just start clicking stuff within the platform, get comfortable with it. And then once you're ready to really start diving in and getting results for your business, upgrade to the starter plan. And this is where this shines over most other platforms because you get unlimited email accounts. Fair use limits apply, so go definitely check that out. But unlimited email accounts, unlimited warm-up, and then you have 2,000 active leads per month. Other platforms only offer 1,000 active leads per month. Then you also have 10,000 emails that you can send per month. The other platforms only offer about 5,000 leads you can send per month, so you double that volume. And you have AI word credits and everything, but mainly you're worried about these 2 metrics right here. And this is a great starting point for people that are just getting started with cold email. All right, so we just went through everything with setting up your actual offer, setting up your campaigns in here. A little tip for your offer, try and give them something, whether that's a crazy offer where like, hey, I'm going to make you money and you don't pay me anything unless I make you that money. Or say, hey, I have something free for you that's going to make you money or going to save you time, I love to get on a call with you and give it to you. Those are pretty good offers to start off with. If you guys want some good offers to start off with, I will put a document down below in the description. It's a framework that you can use in order to get better results when you launch your first campaigns. Most likely, you're going to be getting about a 0.5 to a 2% reply rate, and that's going to be good to get you started. So next, we're going to go into the schedule. How are we going to send these emails? When are we going to send these emails? What I do is I do 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'm in Eastern time zone, and I do Monday through Saturday. So I don't send on Sundays. That's just so that way I can get as much volume out as possible. I find some people are still available on Saturdays. Just Sundays are typically the day that they don't really look at their inbox. If you wanted to, you could just do Monday through Friday. Next, we're going to go into this options tab, and this is where we kind of configure everything to work together. So, like I said, these are my email accounts that I'm going to be sending from. These are the 15. And what I can do is I can add or remove mailboxes in here. And then instead of clicking every single one of these, I can go into tags. I can select that tag. It's going to select all the ones that are tagged with cold-DC because that's the tag we'd select right here. And it's going to select all 15 of those mailboxes, and I just click save. Very easy, very simple, especially when you're starting to scale this up. You're starting to get 30, 45, 50, 100 mailboxes. Definitely use tagging. Stop sending emails on reply. Yes, because if someone replies to you and says, hey, I'm interested, and then you send them another email saying, hey, man, I see you didn't see my email, but just here's my offer, da-da-da-da-da. He's going to be like, dude, I just responded to you. This must be AI. Stop talking to me. And that's one thing with cold email. People don't love to know that you're using AI and automated systems in order to reach out to them. So definitely don't give them a reason to think that you are using those systems. Stop emailing on domain reply. This is so that way if you're sending to a company, let's say you're sending to Google, for example. And let's say you're sending to Peter. Let's say you're sending to John. Let's say you're sending to Mary. Let's say Peter replies to you, and he is the CFO, and John is the COO, and Mary is the CTO. We probably don't want to keep emailing John and Mary because they're probably talking with Peter and they're probably all talking together pretty consistently. So if we keep seeing that we're bugging them and they get annoyed with us, but Peter's on board, most likely you're going to lose that deal. And so you can definitely turn on the stop emailing on domain reply. I'm typically emailing business coaches anyways, so it's not like I'm emailing enterprises where that is the case. So I don't really have to worry about that as much. But definitely something to think about. So then daily limit is going to be, you can set this whatever. You can make this as high as you want. I know a lot of people that just jack this up to like 1,000. They don't really care. I just do the math. So for a daily limit, I have 15 mailboxes times the 30, 450. That's how much I can send daily with the amount of volume I'm doing. So I'm just setting that to 450. Smart time gaps, so that way we're sending that daily limit over time to avoid the spam filters. Definitely something you should enable. Max new leads. Again, I just do the math, set it to 450. Prioritize new leads. You can definitely do this if you want to focus on just getting through that list as fast as possible and then start doing the follow-ups after that. You can prioritize those new leads. Prioritize subsequences. You can do that. I haven't messed around with subsequences as much, so we're definitely going to be doing that here soon and seeing what we can go ahead and do with that to automate the process a little bit more. Auto-optimize AZ testing. Now, this is a very controversial one. A lot of people will come into here and be like, oh yeah, let's optimize. If something's getting opened a lot, let's do it. But the thing is, we don't track open rate and we don't track click rate. So those are two that we just can't use right off the bat. So don't even think about using them. The only one left is reply rate, and we don't want to use that one either. Now, although we do want to get replies, the reason why we don't want to use that is because reply rate does not account for positive replies, and it does not account for negative replies. So the difference between the negatives is someone saying, F off, unsubscribe, no. Basically all of these. And then you also have the positive replies, which is going to be interested, tell me more, yes, booked a call, the best one. So you have these very two ones, and let's say for positive replies, we get 3. Let's say for negative replies, we get 8. It's going to optimize for whatever is getting these 8 replies versus these 3. Why? Because you're optimizing for reply rate, not positive or negative reply rate. And so it's very tempting, and I've done this too, where you set it up for the reply rate and then you end up optimizing for the negative reply rates, and you just continuously get more negative reply rates instead of optimizing for the positive reply rates. And although there's not a feature to go ahead and optimize for the positive reply rates, just leave this off, come into your campaigns and do it yourself. Unsubscribed lead behaviors, I select current campaigns and all campaigns. If someone unsubscribes, I don't want to send them another email again, just because they most likely don't want anything from me. So safer rather than sorry. Enable AI reply agent. You can go ahead and do this. It will draft the replies for you, and then you just have to look at it and then click the send button. So definitely you can do this. I would suggest when you're first getting started, put this on, but then once you have a plan that has API access, go ahead and use a tool like make.com, N8N, or even Zapier, and go ahead and just use an AI module in there to make your replies. It's going to be a lot better than what they have in here. But definitely when you're getting started, a very good tool to use. And then over time, I believe the AI actually learns from you, so that way it can get better at replying. We are almost done here. For deliverability and analytics, open tracking disabled. Never do that. Link tracking disabled. These add links into your emails, and when Google or Microsoft sees you have links in your emails, they go, oh, okay, you're doing some fishy stuff right now, so we're not going to let you in the inbox. And you're like, dude, okay. Continuing on, delivery optimization. Send the first email as text only, or send all emails as text only. If you're never sending links within your emails, which we never want to send a link in our first email, just because that's going to hurt our chances of getting into the inbox. Once you're in the inbox, do whatever you want. But I always click send first email as text only, because maybe later I might want to send them a video. Maybe later I might want to send them a document. Maybe I make an AI lead magnet. Go ahead and send them that way. Maybe I want to send them a picture or anything like that. So we only want to do the first one as text only. But if you never send links, pictures, or anything like that, you can just send emails as text only. Provider matching, not really something that you have to worry about. When this first came out, this was kind of a big deal, but right now it's really not that big of a deal. Just go ahead and skip that. Select provider targets. So if, let's say, Google ends up not letting anybody inbox to Google. Right now, Google is actually kind of a little spotty with deliverability, and so you might not be inboxing to Google very good. You can do a deliverability test and figure out how you're inboxing to that specific platform. Let's say you're inboxing 0% to Google. You can just uncheck this, so that way you're not wasting your lead credits, and you can just only send to Outlook and other providers until that issue becomes resolved, and then you can check that back. But most of the time, you're going to be able to check all 3 of those. Bounce protection. So after you send your first 50 emails in a campaign, if your bounce rate exceeds 10%, I would have this enabled, because if you're bouncing that much, something's either wrong with your list. You need to go clean that list and not get that information from whatever platform you got it from before without cleaning it, or something's wrong with your mailboxes. And so I would definitely turn this on so that we can go and check out those campaigns, check out those mailboxes, and fix that issue before it gets a lot worse. Block quotes. I just disable this because it puts a lot of clutter in the way. Enable positive reply notification. This is key. So you definitely want to do this, because speed to lead is super important. If you respond to a lead within 5 minutes, I think it's 5 minutes, it might be 2 or 3 minutes, the chances that they convert goes up by like 200 or 300%. So you definitely want this turned on. Go ahead and put in your email right here, so that way it can send you an email notification when someone does reply, and make sure this is enabled and someone replies positively specifically. Automated out of office rescheduler. So it will reschedule to send to that recipient when they are back in office. You can mess around with this. I just leave this off, because if someone's out of office, I just recycle that lead a couple months later anyways. Typically this is gonna happen around Q4. And then specify prospect value. So you can put your average ticket size in here. This isn't really that important, mainly a vanity metric. And then custom tags to organize your campaign into groups. You can go ahead and use those as well. For CCing and BCCing people on, I suggest not doing this, just because if you're CCing another mailbox onto there all the time, one, this person's going to get this email and be like, why are you CCing this person on to this email. So it's going to create a little bit of skepticism, but also there's probably some deliverability implications that we want to avoid with that as well. After going through all that, now we are done. These are all the settings for your cold email campaigns. And the last one, we need some leads to send to. So before we can launch that campaign, go ahead, add new. And now you can go ahead and drop a CSV file in here so that way you can upload your leads. You can use their lead finder. So you can go ahead and just get leads from here. You can add via a Google Sheet, or you can add them manually by typing them in. The one thing that Reach Inbox does really well is with their Google Sheet, you can go ahead and make a Google Sheet that auto syncs to your account. So you go ahead, you make the Google Sheet, you put all the column headers in there, the first name, last name, email, all the stuff like that. And you're gonna have something automatically with some automation, write those leads into that sheet, and that sheet will update and then update a specific campaign. So let's say that you are doing a business coach cold email campaign and you have a Google Sheet that's for business coaches specifically. Now you can go ahead and keep scraping business coach leads, upload them into that campaign, and then deduplicate them once they get in there. And this will automatically put that into your Reach Inbox account and start sending it in this campaign, which I think is really cool because if someone doesn't have API access or webhook access, this is like a dirty API that you can go ahead and use until you upgrade to that plan. So hats off to Reach Inbox for doing that. Go ahead, upload your leads into here. And now you are all good. Now you can go ahead and launch your campaign and you can go ahead and watch your email accounts send out to all of these people. That's mostly everything that we needed to go over for your sending settings, setting up your mailboxes, where to get your mailboxes, how to set up your campaigns, a little bit over copy as well. And this should give you a good starting point so that we can get some traction coming into your business. Again, you're not going to be getting 5 booked calls per day from the jump. You're going to have to iterate your campaigns over time, but this video alone should help you get to at least a 0.5 to maybe a 1% reply rate, maybe even up to a 2% reply rate if you just rip exactly what I have here and put it into your campaigns. And then if you want to iterate on this a little bit more, you definitely can get a little bit better results so that way you get more people booking calls with your business. Now, before I end off the video, I want to go over costs because I didn't touch on cost that much in this video because I wanted you to focus on how to do everything properly. And if you're really serious about getting leads into your business, you're going to be willing to do whatever it takes to get this up and going. And so costs can vary depending on what tool stack that you're using. And so now let's go through exactly what this looks like for cost. First, you're going to need a sending tool. This is going to be a cost for if you're just getting started. This is what I would suggest. Sending tool, Reach Inbox, I believe it's their starter plan, $39 a month. So now we have our sending tool. We're going to need domains. So now that we have domains, typically if you're going to be sending out 10, you're going to get that Zap mail plan for mailboxes. So you're going to have 10 mailboxes. We can have 3 mailboxes per domain. So you're going to need 4 domains in total. 4 domains. Each of these domains is about $12 a piece. So you're going to be looking at $48. I think that math is right there. $48, and that's yearly cost. So you can amortize this over the month if you really wanted to, if I wanted to be cheap, but this is going to be your setup cost right here. Then we're going to go to Zap Mail. Before I write this down, you are going to see a bunch of different providers that offer you mailboxes for $1 a month or $2 a month or something just really cheap. These are typically called SMTP mailboxes where the IP addresses aren't managed. You get one IP address, and if you mess up once, all those mailboxes go down. You're the one that's held liable for it, and you have no help with that. That's why we typically go with Google mailboxes or Microsoft mailboxes, because Google and Microsoft themselves handle that IP. So if anything ever does happen to it, they handle that for you. So you only have to worry about your domains and your mailboxes and not your IP address. And that gets very hairy. So don't fall into that trap. A lot of people will tell you, oh yeah, just go get like $1 mailbox or something like that. Don't do that because you will be ripping your hair out later. So hopping back into this, Zap Mail, we're going to be looking at $39 a month, and this is going to be 10 Google mailboxes. 10 Google mailboxes, they can send 30 emails per day. So 10 times 30, you're going to be getting 300 emails per day. Then if you do a 2-step sequence, that means you're really going to be sending to about 150 new leads, unique leads per day. So that's a pretty good volume to start off with. So we have our sending tool, we have our domains, we have our mailboxes, and then we need leads. So we need people to actually send to. The best way I would suggest is with Appify. And I would suggest doing this calculation based on however much sending volume that you can actually handle. And so we can handle sending to 150 unique leads per day. So if we go ahead, and let me get out of this real quick. We can do 150 new leads per day times 26 sending days. That means we can do just under 4,000 leads. So if you go over to this tool, it's called Appify. Go here, and you're going to be able to go to the Appify store and look at this actor right here. So this actor right here, this is going to allow you to get 1,000 leads for $1.50. Now you're not going to be able to use all these leads. When you go ahead and do a search like this, you can put in your filters exactly the way that you want to, and then you're going to be able to get this lead list. Now, not every lead is going to have an email, so you're going to have to use a tool like any mail finder to get more emails. I don't suggest doing that when you're first getting started. Once you get a little bit more advanced, you get your first campaign going, then you can use tools like any mail finder to enrich that list a little bit more and get more emails. But to start off, the less cost, the better. So start off with the leads finder. You can get your 4K leads for $6, which is very cost effective. And that's not even going to be all usable leads. So let's say we double that, because let's say only 50% have emails. So let's say $12 is going to be our lead cost. One time, this is going to give us, what was that? 8K leads. That's going to get you 8K leads. Most likely, half of these are not going to have email addresses, or you're going to verify them and they're not going to be good. So you're really going to be getting about 4K leads. And in order to do this, again, this is costing $12 one time. What you could do is you can go ahead and you can do a free account on Appify. So the free account on Appify gets you $5 of usage. And that's what this $12 is. This is usage. So if we get $5 of usage, what you can do is make another Google account, sign up for Appify again, and you can get the rest of your leads, make 3 Google accounts, and just cycle through those per month. Because you only need to do this once per month to get these leads. Now, if you don't want to do that, you want to just save the headache of having to do the Appify free account where you cycle through 3 Google accounts. And what you can do is just sign up for Appify's plan, but this is going to be $39 a month. But this gives you $39 of usage, so you won't ever have to worry about usage ever again. So that one I'm going to leave up to you guys. You can decide what you want to do with that. And then for verifying those email addresses, you can use something called Million Verifier. This is where you can go ahead, you can go to their pricing. You're going to get $40 one time, and it's going to give you 10,000 credits. So you can only send 4,000. So this is going to last you about 2 months. So it's really about like $20 every time you need to go and do that. You can either do this one. This is a very well-known verifier, or you can come over to AppSumo. You can go and search email verification, and then you can get Reun. Now this one, it's going to give you verification credits, going to do the same thing. You can get this for $79 one time, gives you lifetime access. It's going to give you 100K credits right off the jump, so you can verify 100,000 emails. And you also get 500 credits per day. And so there's no difference between any of these besides the amount of credits it gives you and the daily amount. So you can always get this $80 a month one and then upgrade later to get more per day. That's up to you. But those are your options for email verification, just because we are using Appify, so it's not always going to give us the most quality data. So we're definitely going to want to do email verification. And so that's either going to be $39 one time or $79 one time. And this is like every 2 months. So let's go ahead and total this up. Let's see what we have here. Let me grab my calculator because my brain does not work like that. So we're starting up with Reach Inbox Starter Plan. That's going to be $39 per month. Then the domains, that's going to be $48. Our mailboxes is $39 a month. Appify, I'm going to say we're getting the Appify subscription. I'm going to go $39. And then we can go ahead and look at email verification. I'm going to say Millionaire Verifier. That's another $39. So to get started with the system, and I believe that is everything here. If I'm missing something, someone please tell me in the comment section below. Go ahead and let me make this a different color. So to get started, you're going to need about $204 just to get started with everything. And this is one time. Then for a monthly cost, let's go ahead and total this up here again. This is going to be $39 a month for Reach Inbox. Domains don't have a monthly cost because they're just per year. Zapmail is going to be $39 a month. Appify is going to be $39 a month. And that is the only monthly cost that you have to incur. So monthly, to keep the system running, you're going to be looking at $117. So with $117, you can send to 4,000 leads per month. You're going to be reaching all 4,000 of those leads in that month, basically. Let's say you have a 20% open rate, 800. Now, out of that open rate, let's say you have a 1% reply rate. That's going to be 8 people reply. Then, let's say you have a 30%, I'd say probably about 30% positive reply rate. That's going to be 2.4. And out of those, let's say half of them book a call. So let's say you get 1 booked call. Let's say your ticket price is $1,000 on the conservative side. So you made $1,000 from a $204 investment. Or if this took you a couple months, then it's going to be a 300 and let's see here. That's going to be $321 investment. So you put in $321 and you made $1,000. That's a pretty good investment if you ask me. So I definitely think cold email is an avenue that you can definitely put into your stack and start making more money for your business with. I hope I covered everything in today's video. Like I said before, if there's anything that you want to see on this channel, anything you want me to go over pertaining to cold email, automation, marketing, or advertising, definitely let me know. I would be glad to make these videos and then give you guys updates on how these cold email campaigns are going. But I hope I helped you out in this video. Go look down in the description. I'm going to put a couple resources down there for you guys to go check out and sign up to these platforms. And other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.